It's just a great day, everybody. We go to you with prayers of thanksgiving for the many blessings, our club, for its work in our community, for the bounty of this table. We ask your Spirit to be upon us, to bless this food, to take it to the nourishment of our bodies, and to keep us this day in your peace. In the name of Christ. Amen. Amen.
Awesome. Brian, our Director of Membership, will you lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance?
Happy to. Everybody put your hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, y'all may be seated. Donna, will you introduce our visiting guests, our guests and visiting Rotarians?
We have guest today, John Starkey. John Starkey is a guest of Becky Howard. And our other guest is Thomas Becerra, visitor from Mexico, Rotarian.
Más quieres decir algo?
Yes, I say words for my country. I love Texas, but stay in USA. Club, yes, another plan de get one brother and get an agreement, yes, to share friendship, the Rotary friendship. Say, my district is the 4170 and Central Park, Mexico City is the place the progress that in that district. I invite to visit our country, yes, have good food, yes. Also with some salt, you know. Yeah. And best over there is we have the president, you know, the economy is going good now. Yes, it is the only problem we have like the youth country inflation, like you, and the per capita is more than the country, but there are a lot of opportunities. Mexico for business and business. Thank you for receiving me. I appreciate your attention. Thank you, President. I'm ready for taking
Yes, yes. So we have exchanged flags, and if you're involved with a small business that maybe wants to see about becoming international, Tomas can help you with that. So it's a pleasure to have you joining us this day. I'm so thankful that you are also a Rotarian and doing the good work of service where you are. So
Thank you so much.
yes. Very good. At this time, we want to go ahead with our program. So I'm going to invite Terry Oliver up to introduce our speaker today.
Good afternoon. So much. It's good to see all of you here today. Pretty full room. Well, today we have Kimberly Hall with the Irving Fire Department here to make a presentation to us. Kimberly has almost 5 years on the fire department as fire prevention specialist. Kimberly is a sworn peace officer, an arson investigator, a fire inspector, and a fire safety educator. She has experience in teaching. She has a BA and an MA in military history and Holocaust. So I'm sure she is fascinating to visit with. But after working in the corporate world, Kimberly decided to join her dad, her brother, and her brother-in-law in what she calls the family business at the fire department, and she hasn't looked back. So please welcome Kimberly.
Thank you all so much for having me here. Can everybody hear me okay?
Just a little close to the mic, yeah. There you go.
Okay. Are we good there?
I don't think it's
I'm not
working.
used to speaking to the microphone, so you'll have to correct me. And again, I was just explaining before that I this year. So I apologize in advance for that. But I'm really, really excited to be here. Again, my name is Kimberly Hall, and my title is Fire Prevention Specialist, but really the more common name for it would be a Deputy Fire Marshal. So again, I'm a police officer, so I didn't go to fire academy. I went to police academy. I'm also an arson investigator, so essentially a crime scene investigator for the fire department. So we go in after the fire is put out and determine where the fire started, what might have caused it, and if somebody caused it on purpose, we put them in jail. I'm also a fire inspector, so I learned fire code, which sounds as exciting as it is. Pretty rough stuff. But I enjoy keeping people safe. And then my day-to-day assignment is a fire safety educator. In the past, this position has kind of been a short straw position that the rookie got because nobody else wanted it. But when I joined the fire department, I saw it as a real opportunity. So I went to school to eventually become a university level educator. I ended up going for out, but I still get to educate people, and that's what I love. So I love teaching. This is really like my kind of career. So I fit right in. So I go around everywhere from pre-K to the senior center to the corporate world and teach different fire safety classes, conduct fire drills, all that kind of good stuff. Here in Irving, we're very lucky that our fire chief and our city really prioritize fire prevention. So most cities, they have a very small prevention department because people focus on firefighters. And rightly so, they are heroes, they are really, really great people doing great things, but going in after the fire has started is still very devastating to everybody, right? Fire is the worst thing that can happen to most people. So our department has really focused on a fire prevention effort, fire prevention strategy. So other cities may have 3 people in their fire prevention department. Here in Irving, we have 19. So we're very, very blessed. We're always looking for more. So do not take that as the fact that we don't have enough people. We're always looking for more people to add to our staff because there are things that we still can't achieve. Even with our 19 people person staff, we still have numbers that we can't meet just because we don't have the bodies to do it. So we have, I think, 13 dedicated inspectors, 1 inspector that's dedicated solely to schools, which we are very, very proud of. Because, there's been a lot of times throughout history with really devastating school fires, and we have 1 person that their whole job is to make sure that our schools are safe for our children to be in. We have dedicated investigators, and of course, me going around the kitchen. So it's something that I'm very, very proud to be a part of. Getting into what I would like to speak with y'all today, which is has to go along with our theme this week nationally. It is Fire Prevention Week, which is my favorite week of the year. Second only, almost second to Christmas, but Fire Prevention Week is up there. So Fire Prevention Week, it's not just kind of one of those cheesy, it's national whatever day. Fire Prevention Week is a very big deal. It is 100 years old this week. That means it is the longest running public health initiative in the country ever. It was started in 1922. It was first Fire Prevention Day, and then it's taken the Fire Prevention Week. But it was started to commemorate the Great Chicago Fire. Has everybody heard of the Great Chicago Fire? Everybody knows that the cow kicked over the lantern and that started it, right? That's pretty common. It's actually not what happened. So they vindicated the cow. The city of Chicago vindicated the cow. It happened when there was a card game going on, and some people had too many beers to drink, and they knocked over a lantern. So all of Chicago burned down. I didn't put the stats on there, but it's literally hundreds of thousands of people without their homes, structures burned down, and they decided, you know what, enough is enough. Let's start implementing fire codes and having people enforce them. The really interesting part about that is that we have had fire codes since about 2000 BCE. We've had essentially some sort of fire code or building protection code on the books. We didn't have anybody enforcing it until the Great Chicago Fire. So literally we had the codes, but no way to enforce it. And I kind of make the analogy of, yes, we have speeding laws, but what if we knew there were no cops? Would you speed? Maybe, maybe not, If you knew you were never going to get a ticket, would you speed? So we finally started enforcing fire code. To celebrate this really exciting week, the city of Irving does a lot of really cool stuff. One of our main initiatives is we give a fire prevention, fire safety coloring book to every elementary school child in the city. Every single one, every school, public, private, it doesn't matter. They get a specific coloring book that's geared towards their year level or to their grade level. So pre-K kid is gonna get one that has more pre-K concepts, and it aligns with their their state mandated learning objectives. We integrate that with their fire prevention coloring books all the way up to 5th grade. So every kid gets one. It's a whole department-wide effort, and I'm really proud about that. We order 4,000, 5,000 coloring books every year and divvied up to every school. So that's our main fire prevention week effort, but I go around teaching a lot of different classes as well. So very proud for that. But this week's theme, every fire prevention week has a theme. This one is Fire Won't Wait, Plan Your Escape. It's always a catchy rhyme. It's always got to make it catchy. So this week, it's all about creating a home fire escape plan. This is very, very important. Even if you've lived in your house 20, 30, 40 years, you should still think about having some sort of escape plan. Because the main thesis of most of my talks to most people about fire safety is that when an emergency happens to you, you might do something a little stupid. You might lose your mind a little bit. And I say that with love because I was once that person. When an emergency happens to you, your brain kind of goes in shock. And you can't put thoughts together. You can't figure out what to do. It's really, really strange. This happened to me. It's a little bit embarrassing to admit, but it kind of illustrates my point. Is in May of 2022, or 2020, excuse me, May of 2020, my parents' house burned down. They live in the lakes up north in Irving, and my dad was on shift and was dispatched to his own house fire. Imagine the day, right? So I was not on call, I was not at work, so my mom called me in hysterics, and I come down the highway, and I see the column of smoke, and I think, oh my goodness, that's a huge fire. And I show up, and this is not my first house fire. I've been to tens on tens on tens of house fires as a arson investigator and a fire investigator. So I'm very familiar with what to do, the steps that you need to take, what insurance, yada, yada, yada you need to do. It's not a shocking event for me anymore. But when I showed up to my parents' house that I just moved out here before, I freaked out. Like my brain went kaput. Like I couldn't like literally put together a thought. The only thing that ran through my mind as I stood there watching my parents' house burn down was they need toothbrushes. Which like they did, but they didn't need them right then, right? They could have waited at least until that night to get toothbrushes. But I was with my husband and he stayed calm, cool, and collected, and he goes, okay, if it's gonna make you feel better, we'll go to Target and we'll get them some toiletries. So I get in my car to drive to my Target, the one on MacArthur at 635, and I can't figure out how to get there. I literally, my brain won't put together the turns I need to take to get there because I'm in shock. Because the emergency happened to me, and I'm special. Nothing happens bad to me, right? That's what everybody thinks about themselves. So I know as an adult, as somebody who's lived in their house for a long time, you may not think to create a fire escape plan, but you may want to give it a thought. And it's really important, especially if you maybe have children living in your home or other people who are not as familiar with your home as you most likely are, is to create a fire escape plan. And I think on the next slide, I have. Yeah, so we have these sheets available online. It's a little grid sheet. This is geared more towards children, but of course it would work for anybody, is to actually draw out your house, where the doors are, where the windows are, have 2 ways out of every room and practice. So if your second way out of your bedroom is your window, when's the last time you opened your window? Actually work on getting it open. If you can't go out your back door or your front door, which way are you gonna go out? If you have a second story window or a second story bedroom and that window is your second way out, have you thought about, am I gonna need to jump in the window or do I want to get an escape ladder from my Home Depot to be prepared? These things, if you think ahead of time, you're gonna kind of curb that like silliness, shocked thing that happened to me. You can prepare so that when your brain does go kaput, it's kind of second nature. One thing that's also very strange that happens, and again, it's kind of like a human nature issue, is I've had people, their house is on fire, they can't get out the bedroom door, but they're standing there in their bedroom going, I don't want to break the window, but their house is burning down. For some reason, like you don't want to damage your own home. So getting used to like, okay, if I can't open my window, I need to be prepared to break it. Just going through those thoughts ahead of time can really prepare you in case of the worst case scenario. I will say that one other thing on that slide, that is important, especially if you live with like multiple generations, or people stay at your house often, maybe you watch your grandbabies or nieces or nephews, I watch mine, is to have a meeting place outside of your home that's permanent that everybody knows about. So you may know exactly where to go, but if your niece or nephew or child or grandchild or whatever is staying with you, maybe they run out the backyard and go to the tree, but you're in the front yard of the mailbox. And if you're panicking, you're gonna think, I don't know where they are, they're still inside. If you say, you know what, if there's an emergency, we're all gonna go meet at the neighbor's mailbox or the tree in the front yard, something like that, and make sure everybody knows where to go. That way you can kind of like take roll and see if there's anybody still inside the house. That's a really important part. The second thing I'm gonna talk about, and you'll have to let me know if I'm short on time, I can talk about this for hours. I won't hold you guys hostage, but this is another really important part, which is about smoke alarms. So smoke alarms are the most important thing in your home ever. Fire grows really quickly, and hopefully I have a video after the slide, I think, to show you just how quickly a fire can grow, especially with modern day furnishings. But back in the day, when everything was, all of our furniture was made of natural wood, natural fibers like cotton and wool, and it wasn't all glued together, laminate, polyester, polyurethane, everything. Fires grew pretty slowly. If a fire started on your couch, you maybe had 20, 25 minutes to get out of your house safely. Now, if there's a fire on your couch or an electrical cord behind your couch, something like that, you maybe only have 2 to 3 minutes to get out safely. Wow. It is a really big problem in the fire service world, but since everything is synthetic, it burns really quickly and it puts off a lot of nasty smoke. So the chairs that you're sitting on, the foam inside those chairs, just that poly foam that you can buy at Joann's or wherever, that is essentially solid gasoline. It's a hydrocarbon. It's made from the same stuff that gasoline is, and when you burn it, you know it melts. And it melts and it acts the same way as gasoline. It is accelerant on the fire. It even has the same fire patterns as if somebody poured gasoline. So your smoke alarm is really what's going to save your life if there's a fire, because you need to get outside. And if you only have 2 to 3 minutes to get out safely, what if you're asleep during the first 2 minutes and you only wake up because a window broke because the fire broke? So you need that early detection system to let you know to get outside. So, excuse me. So it's really important to have your smoke alarms. Make sure that they work. You can test them monthly. That's the recommendation, is to test them monthly. You know, you can get a broomstick and poke it. That's what I do. But there's a test button on all of them. You need to have one in every bedroom, one outside the bedroom, so in the hallways of the bedrooms, and then one on every floor. Ideally, they would be interconnected. Homes built after, I think, 1987, they are interconnected, but that means when one goes off, they all go off. But that would be done by a licensed electrician, but I highly recommend it, especially if you have a big house. And I know everybody's heard a smoke alarm chirp, right? It always happens in the middle of the night, the chirp, the worst, right? I don't know how people, I see it on TikTok all the time. I don't know how people sleep with that. But that means either the battery is low, so change the battery, or the whole unit is expiring. So they only last for 10 years. So if you can't remember the last time you changed your smoke alarms, it's probably time. They're pretty cheap at Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, Target, whatever big box store. And it's like the cheapest life insurance that you're ever gonna get to make sure that you get out of a house fire. I would say most of our deaths from house fires across the nation have come from either houses with no smoke alarm or a house with non-functioning smoke alarms. So I can't stress that. And I have this video right here. There is no sound. There might be sound on the people who are watching virtually, but there's no like speaking. So I'll kind of talk us through it. But if you want to go ahead and start it. What this is going to show here in a little bit is 2 side-by-side burn units. So a really cool thing in the fire service is that we get to burn a lot of stuff, but in a safe way. So they show the comparison between vintage legacy furnishings, we call it legacy furnishings, and a synthetic, more modern furnished living room. So it is set up slightly, but over on the natural side, you'll see it in a second. The flames are so small at this point, you can hardly even see them. But you kind of see it on the natural side at this point. That flame is pretty clear. It's a fairly complete combustion process, so not a lot of smoke. And over on the synthetic side, you can't really even see it yet because it's still smoldering. It's melting that foam down in the mattress, but now we're starting to see the smoke.
Oh my gosh.
So it's only 2 minutes in at this point, but the natural or the synthetic room is hotter. That smoke can kill you in one breath. It's very thick, has poison in it, and it's very, very hot. So that foam in that mattress, you can see the way that it's burning is very different than the natural one, or mattress, I think. But pretty soon you're gonna start to see things in the room look like they're steaming. That means that room is hot enough that everything's reaching its ignition temperature, and it will soon reach what we call flashover, where everything in the room catches on fire at once. So this room is about 4.5 minutes in, which I mean is hardly any time. That's a commercial, right? And look at the difference on the natural side. Isn't that unreal? Completely unreal. This one's gonna keep burning for 20, 30 minutes without even getting close to flashover. So you've got to have working smoke alarms. You need to make sure you have a fire escape plan and practice it with anybody in your house because it can literally save your life. Yeah, this will keep going for, it just, I mean, the difference is unreal. I think that's the end of it. I don't know if I have any more slides. Okay, perfect. So I hope I didn't like bum everybody out too much, but I do take it really seriously. And I would love to chat with anybody if you have any fire safety questions, anything like that. But that about sums up my presentation. I really appreciate you guys bringing me out here, and I hope you make sure you smoke alarms work at home. So thank you very much.
Question for Kimberly.
I have one. So Kimberly, when you go out and analyze, what would you say is the majority of causes of fire in the city of Irving? Can you kind of talk about that demographically or spread across the city?
Absolutely. So that is one of my initiatives is to see what is our highest causes, like our most common causes, and then implement things to kind of lower them and track them over time. It's called community risk reduction. It's my biggest initiative yet. But our most common cause of fires, I think it's about 43% of all fires in Irving is caused by cooking. Which when you think about it makes sense. So the fire triangle, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the fire triangle, but it's the 3 things that make up fire: heat, fuel, and oxygen. And so we have oxygen all around us right now. We have fuel all around us right now. So the only thing we're missing for fire to happen is heat. And what do we do when we cook? We add heat to stuff. So we're basically making a very controlled fire triangle. So people, it's really common to walk away from your cooking and things get out of hand. People fall asleep when they cook, especially if they've been drinking. You know, you make chicken fingers because you're hungry, and then you walk away from the oven and things catch on fire. Or people putting water on a grease fire makes a really, really bigger fire. So things like that. So last year's, or either last year or the year before, our fire prevention theme was stand by your pan. Listen, cook up fire safety in the kitchen. But that is our biggest one, and it's hard because people do it 3 times a day. So there's a lot of opportunities for those fires to happen. Our second most common one is electrical fires, and that could be either by the person's like not good housekeeping of electrical things, like using broken electrical cords, or it could be from faulty wiring that maybe isn't necessarily like a homeowner, like they're not aware of it, they're not like negligent about it, but maybe bad construction or something like that. Any further questions?
I just wanted to know, when you're investigating a fire, like what is all the apparatus you have to wear when you investigate?
Very good question. So this is actually a hot topic as well in the fire service. So not that long ago, investigators didn't have a lot of good, PPE, everybody knows that term now, but we didn't have a lot of good PPE. Recently, we have received, it's like the bunker gear, the firefighter gear that the firefighters wear, except theirs has a heat protectant layer in it. Ours doesn't have the heat protectant layer, only because we would like cook alive, because it makes you so hot. So ours is still plenty warm, but it looks like exactly like firefighting gears. We have the boots, the pants, the jacket, the gloves, the helmet, and we wear a mask just like the firefighters do. In theory, we can hook up to an air bottle like firefighters wear, but we mainly put on filters, so we're breathing through a filter. The rate of cancer in firefighters is astronomical, and it is a very big issue in the fire service. We're lucky that Chief Conley has made this a really big initiative. We get regular cancer screenings and stuff, but the old kind of saying was a firefighter's gonna die the day after they retire, because they're gonna work for forever and unfortunately pass away of cancer, which is not a joke, but a dark humor kind of thing for everybody in the fire service. So the rate of cancer in firefighters is really high. Well, the rate of cancer in fire investigators is about 10 times that of firefighters, because they kind of had as an afterthought. We're in the fire scene for 6, 8, 10 hours at a time. We're physically digging the fire scene up, so it's a very labor-intensive job. And as you dig it up, you kick up all of the carcinogens and everything. So we are greatly improving our cancer PPE, but sometimes if you're at a fire scene for 8 hours, you just don't want to wear the mask anymore. It can be hard, but I always try to kind of balance your comfort and ability to do your job versus what's going to happen down the road. But we look just like all the other firefighters. So.
You mentioned that water isn't going to put out a grease fire. Can you speak to what is the best way?
Absolutely. So water is definitely not a good idea for grease fires. I have another video, not here, but if you guys want that, I can always forward it because it just looks like an explosion. It looks really cool, but not fun to have in your kitchen. What you can do is put a lid on it. So if you've got a fire in a pot, you want to put the lid on it, turn off the heat. This is after you dial 911. Everything I say as far as putting out fires is after 911 is called, because that's the most important thing, because fires grow so quickly, like that video we saw. So you never know if you're gonna make it worse or not put it out completely, so get 911 on their way. But if you put a lid on the pot, you're stopping the oxygen from reaching the oil, so it's gonna break up that fire triangle. If you don't have the lid, I've moved a bunch since college, so I've lost all of my tight fitting lids. You can get a cookie sheet or a baking tray, slide it over the top, because that's still gonna stop the oxygen from getting in. Make sure you turn off the burners. They do make kitchen extinguishers. I do have a whole class on extinguishers. I think they're very good, but people kind of rely on them and they don't plan an escape plan, like, well, I got extinguishers. That's fine, I won't worry about anything else. They kind of falsely rely on that. So kitchen extinguishers can be very good as long as you have everything else that I mentioned in place. You can also use baking soda, not flour, not baking powder, but baking soda. So some extinguishers actually have sodium bicarbonate in them, which is baking soda. My only issue with that is if you go get to your fridge and you get the orange box that everybody keeps in the fridge, right? That's what everybody else says. I'm not the only one. And if you've got your on fire pot and you go fling it at the on fire pot, are you gonna flunk it in there and then the oil splashes up? I'm worried about the application. So in theory, baking soda can work, but I don't really recommend it. Salt is also the same thing. Salt is non-combustible, but I worry about you flinging the oil up and out. So the best idea is a lid and just turn on. But always, always, always call 911 first, put the lid on, and then get straight outside. Good question.
Yeah, so the faulty electrical wiring situations, what percentage would you say are the result of do-it-yourselfers?
A lot. I don't have an exact number, but there's a lot. And a lot of the times it's not even doing your do-it-yourself in the wall electricity, but daisy chains, electrical cord or extension cords, those are huge. The cheap extension cords. I know it can be tough. It's Christmas time, just about. I decorate for Halloween too. I have a ton of extension cords, and I get it. I'm right up there with all these people who decorate like crazy. But you can't cheap out on the extension cords. I know it's really tempting to go buy the $2 one at Walmart or wherever, but those are not good. They're dangerous. The wire is not the correct gauge to pull a lot of the electricity through, so that can overheat and cause resistance. The insulation around the cord is very thin and can break and crack easily, and then you get a fire. So I know that the nice extension cords are expensive. I get it, but I guarantee you it's less expensive than a house fire. So you gotta kind of trade off. But I totally understand because they get pricey, but they're worth it. Anybody else? I can do this all day long. But thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
And thank you, Kimberly. We appreciate what you do for our city. We just had a fire truck come to our church last night for fire prevention week to show the kids what a fire engine. We learned that there's a difference between a fire engine and a fire truck. It was news to me. But it was neat to let the kids interact with firefighters, also learn about prevention at the same time. So we do encourage you to continue to learn and grow in the ways that you can prevent fire at your business or in your home. Do we have announcements for the good of the club? Terry.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I have a couple. For those of you at Henry Holmes yesterday, I apologize. Irving Cares is hosting our first ever mobile food pantry on Saturday at Irving Bible Church. So if you know of anybody in the community who could benefit from a mobile food pantry, they're having trouble putting food on their table, please direct them that way. We're finding our most growing zip code right now in people seeking services is 75038. So Irving Bible Church, 9 o'clock on Saturday morning.
Where is everybody?
Irving Bible Church is at 2435 Ken West Parkway. So it is in Bar North Irving. But if you have any questions or you want the flyer, please let me know. I'm happy to send it to you.
It's very close to the fire station.
Oh, it is the new fire station.
Just north of Raw Lane, just east.
The other thing is Irving Cares is getting ready to host a golf tournament. So if any of you golfers are interested in a team, please come see me. I have some flyers. And the last thing, changing hats. Friends of the Museum is hosting a pasta dinner on Saturday night. It is a sneak peek to the Green Book exhibit. And so you get to go in, have pasta, enjoy fellowship, and then go in and get a preview of this Smithsonian exhibit that is now in Irving. I have tickets, they're $15 a piece if any of you are interested.
And who's catering?
Lamberti's is catering, so it'd be a good pasta dinner.
Do y'all know what the Green Book is?
Yeah.
The Green Book was literally a Green Book that was used in the early parts of the 20th century for African American citizens. That would be the safe place for them to stay. They were traveling on business.
It was their travel guide.
That was their travel guide.
It,
There was a movie, yes. Yeah.
it's a great exhibit. It's from the Smithsonian. We're really lucky to have that here in Irving. So if you want a ticket, please let me know. Thank you. Thank you, President. This is going to be at the Irving Archives Museum. So it's on Irving Boulevard. You guys know where the study was, where the Hispanic Chamber is now?
Used to be the main library.
It was the main life. It's the Huffman Building next door to City Hall. Been there.
He is a rebel.
All right. Other announcements for the good of the club? You guys are quiet for once. Robert.
Somebody later said the keys up here, you're gonna miss those as you head out.
Let me check my mind. Got mine.
All right.
Ryan.
So a quick announcement, just as far as membership goes, we brought on several new members, Craig being one, Rodney, several new members. And so as we continue that effort, I just want to remind everybody, if you meet friends, acquaintances, new business members in the community, invite them over. Let them get exposed to our club, let them get exposure to us. If you're not feeling up to that, then text me, call me, I'll talk to them. That's all fine. But in regards to other activities for membership, I've almost completed some business cards, so we can use that QR code, make it really easy for people to apply and become members. That's what Donna, Lindy, and myself are trying to do, is we're trying to make it really easy for people to explore the club and to become members. And we're getting there, so make progress. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ryan. And if you need cards, let me know, because I have a lot as well. Rick, did you have something?
Mr. President and club, 2 weeks from today, Chief Miller's going to be here again. And we will continue our award program. So he has identified the officer of the first quarter, officer of the second quarter. Ms. Kimberly is going to pick up the awards. If you can be here on that day and help us honor those policemen. And if you did not get a chance to meet Chief Miller, be here that day. We'll have some fun, and I think, Terry, you've got a great program that day, so that's gonna be a busy, but a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Also, October 24th is World Polio Day. So as we gear up to that, we want to be mindful, especially now that we've had some resurgence of polio in places where it had previously been eradicated. So stay tuned, we'll be sending things out and we'll be building some excitement about World Polio Day and how you can help in the coming weeks. Are there any other announcements? We do have time. You guys are doing good. All right. Other than that, our next meeting will be right here, 12 o'clock. Please come, consider bringing a guest, and we would love to have you back and have someone new come and see our club. So friends, if you would all please stand. Dr. Carr, would you be willing to lead us in the four-way test?
Sure, please join me in the four-way test of things we think, say, or do. First,
Is it the truth?
Second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, friends, and thank you, David, Randy, and Christine for joining us virtually. Good to have y'all with us.
All right, thank you.